Loading snacks.
What's going on, Stellar Con? I brought Roger Clark. I'm special. Do me a favor. I asked you guys to reserve a little of your energy for him.
I love you, Arthur!
There it is. Like, see? I mean, you let it go a little early. I wasn't ready yet. I was going to count to 3. But we can do I love you, Arthur, if you want to on 3. Does that work for you guys? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
We love you, Arthur! Stop it. Oh, hey, put it on.
I imagine that there are plenty of you out here who have questions you'd like to ask. Is that the case? Yeah, some of you, put your hand in the air if you have questions you'd like to ask. So there's a gentleman standing towards the back with a microphone. We will treat him like a ping pong ball and bounce him from side to side. He's upset, but it's fine. Like, this is why he's here. So it's okay. First and foremost, Roger, how are you?
I'm well, Gage. Thanks for having me. Guys, I always love to start off these panels. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you. I know we all hop in our cars. Some of us drive for hours to these things. And I know that they're not cheap either, and it burns a hole in your pocket. And I just want to say that if it weren't for your support and for your appreciation, I literally would not be here. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Outlaws for life, you're all right.
Give yourselves a round of applause for helping to make this happen.
I can't believe it. The game's over 6 years old now. There's not many games over 6 years old that would still have so many cosplays and people still coming. And I think the only GTA 5 maybe would be the only other comparison.
I would agree. That's about it. Like, anything that's not like still playable isn't like a living game. So this is definitely special.
Have you heard of GTA 5?
I maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
This is other game that you drive cars in and stuff.
It's kind of popular. It sits on the charts. It tends to sit on the charts.
You can't shoot what you eat.
Yeah. Well, we were at a con last week, and a lot of the GTA 5 guys were there, and everyone was asking us who would win in a fight, you know? And I think the answer is obvious. Actually, you know what? It's not obvious, because they do have much better guns.
They do. They have newer guns. I don't know if better.
Yeah, I mean, Michael can pull a minigun out of his underwear.
This is true.
But there is one little thing that we have going for us, me and John Marston, and that's this thing called Deadeye.
Indeed. Indeed.
So
Slow
I
it
don't
down
know.
and hit them all. Slow it down and hit them all. Is that one of your favorite mechanics from the game?
Yeah, Deadeye's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah, I miss it in the online version.
I agree. I feel like if they could find a way to work that in.
That would be, it would be really unfair, but then it would be really awesome as well.
Yeah, but everybody could do it, so it'd be fine.
Yeah, but it would be a whole server thing, wouldn't it? Because you'd have to slow down time for one player, but not for every. Yeah, it'd be tricky.
It's really weird. Do you have a posse online?
I did for a hot minute during COVID. I did get into online during COVID. We did a few streams for, when we raised a bit of money for charity and whatnot.
Awesome.
But I learned from Ned Luke told me when he would go online at first for GTA Online, he did the mistake of having his microphone on. And then everyone started trolling him, and they're like, dude, you're not Michael. Stop trying to sound like Michael. Dude, this guy thinks he's Michael. So then everyone was killing him. And he had to go on Twitter and he said, look, this is my gamer tag, please, just let me play online. And they're like, oh my God, that was actually him.
Yeah, but now they get to say that they actually killed Michael.
I know.
So that's that's extra for them.
So that's why I stopped, because everyone was throwing dynamite at us. But then sometimes the whole server would go after them in retribution, and that was pretty awesome.
And that's how it should be. That's exactly how it should be. How many hours do you have in GTA? I mean, in Red Dead 2.
Oh, you mean?
I know you've played
online or story?
Story. Like, you have multiple playthroughs, right?
I've played it twice.
Okay.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah. And it was a real. I knew what was gonna happen. Except when I hit the epilogue. That was actually interesting for me because I didn't know what was going to happen next.
Really?
And Rob would be working on the epilogue, and while we were working together, he'd say, "Oh, I did this thing in the epilogue," and I would say, "You know what? Don't tell me, because that's going to be the only part of the game that I can actually not know what's going to happen next." So that was cool. But how many hours? I don't know. My first playthrough took a month, and I got to about 70%, but I gave up. There was gambling
You went for the
challenges.
full 100% though.
Nah, I don't think so. Maybe
No?
when I retire.
You don't have time for that now.
The gambling challenges, how do you get 3 blackjacks in a row? And those orchids, oh my God.
It's that RNG. You gotta have the really good RNG, the luck of the draw,
It's true.
to pull that off. Your PlayStation,
I'm both now.
Oh.
But yeah, I've been PlayStation most of it.
I dig it. You don't have to clap for that. Let's not start let's not, we're not
I
gonna
like
have a
'em both.
console war here, but I
No
just-
console wars, no.
I just wanted to know, like, what your trophy, like, were you going for the platinum?
No,
Okay,
no.
too much.
Yeah, I just wanted to go through the story, obviously, and see how everyone else's work came across. And a lot of those side missions were a lot of fun too. It was just great to see how the amazing studio that Rockstar Games is, just to see what they did with all of our performance capture, you know? And
Yeah.
it took a village. I mean, there's only one person up here now, but you know, if you guys love Red Dead 2, it literally was thousands and thousands of people, engineers, animators, writers, producers. It took, my part was 5 years I was working on that game.
Woo. That's a long time. That's a
Yeah.
long time to work on one property, which doesn't happen super often.
No, it doesn't. And it's happening less and less too.
Yeah.
'Cause they're trying to make them for less and less, and it's getting more expensive. Yeah.
Sure. I'm sure you get asked about it. I mean, I know that you got a lot of awards, and well deserved, for sure, right? But I do hear people talk about the voice acting side of what you do. But most of what you did on this game is actually performance capture, right?
Yeah, they're two different things. And I'd say maybe 10% of what I did on Red Dead was actual voice acting in a booth, you know? And the other 90% was what you would see like behind the scenes for Avatar or Planet of the Apes, you know?
Full mocap.
Yeah, with the lycra and the balls and then the face cams. That was the majority of what we did. And everything you see Arthur do, except for major stunts, that was me. You know, all the in-game
He
footage. too.
is Arthur Morgan. He's not just the voice. He is Arthur Morgan.
And it was awesome to be granted that sort of ownership, you know?
Yeah.
That doesn't often happen in gaming. Because even like no 2 studios do it the same.
Sure.
But what you often see is you'll get one person doing the mocap, then you'll get another person doing the voice, and then you could even have a face model, and then there's 3 different performances for one character, and more often than not, these people never meet.
Yeah.
So for me to be able to just have that authority over how Arthur was portrayed, it was a blessing and a luxury, and I really enjoyed working like that. That was awesome.
That's an awesome treat. How often, I mean, obviously you don't just do performance capture and voice acting. You do stuff in front of the camera.
Yeah, not as much as I used to, but yeah, I started out in theater.
Yeah.
Theater, I feel, for me anyway, that's the best place to learn how to act.
Okay.
Because
You get people in front of you.
they're right there.
Yeah.
And in real time. They'll if they don't clap, then you learn
know it?
something.
Yeah. You find out real fast.
Exactly. And then the advantage is if you screw it up, you got the next night to do it
You
better.
can learn from it, right?
Yeah, and then you'll have immediate feedback. That immediate feedback you get from the audience is priceless. Because if you're doing it in a video game or a film, gosh, you know, an audience might not see it until a year after you've done it.
Yeah.
And then you've had an editor and in many cases an animator. They've all, you know, they're putting their own filter on the performance too. So yeah, theater's where it's at for me personally.
Yeah.
I was very grateful to start out that way.
Do you want to go back and do more theater?
I was doing some last fall. Yeah, I was in Jersey actually. We were doing A Man for All Seasons. I don't know if you know that one.
Awesome.
I was Henry VIII. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, how do you channel a Henry VIII versus an Arthur Morgan?
Well, Arthur Morgan's kind of in the past now. But luckily there was a fair bit of source material to study this guy.
Sure.
Henry VIII. Apparently he was some king. Yeah, so that wasn't too hard because it's a pretty well-known play.
Sure.
And he's a pretty well-known character. So I enjoyed doing that. But yeah, I try to put a different slant on every new piece of work that I approach. I try to approach every new role in a slightly different way than what I did previously, because you want to keep it fresh, you know. You want to try and keep it new and innovative. I can't believe that I actually get to work. I'm pinching myself up and down on my arms because of it.
If it was up to you, would you have done anything differently with Arthur's story?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. Some people ask me that too. I really don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't think so. My only lament about Red Dead Redemption 2 was that they made me mispronounce Colm O'Driscoll's name. And
to make it more American?
They made me say it wrong. Because, they think Americans can't pronounce the names. So it's totally wrong, by the way. And they knew it was wrong, but they went and did it anyway. And I'm going to throw them under the bus every single chance I get. As soon as I get a microphone in my hand, it was Colm. It's Colm. It's not Colm. It's Colm. They're telling an Irishman to mispronounce the name, man.
And you guys know how to say it right now, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, though. It's like more people have played Red Dead 2 than there are people in Ireland. So there's more people mispronouncing that name now than there are.
Yeah. And they're blaming you.
And if you can tell, that winds me up.
A little bit. Just a tad. Again, I imagine we have some questions in the crowd. So, my ping pong ball in the back, that's Sin. Sin, pick a hand. I only see one right now. All right, now I see like 12.
So, did you have to do motion captures for riding on the horse too? Like, was there a horse you motion captured with, or did they just kind of give you a chair and go, yeah, this is how you sit on a horse, pretend this is a horse for all intents and purposes?
Excellent question. So, we did not work with real horses. They got all of the horse animations done in about 2 weeks. And they used their real wranglers to get all of that data, which I'm kind of split in two about, because it was clearly the better choice to make, because they were able to get it done a lot faster. I can ride, and I have ridden in westerns before, but these horse wranglers are amazing, and they know their animals better than I ever could. So they were able to pull off some really cool data for all the cameras and whatnot. So we got all that done in about 2 weeks, and I didn't have to deal with the manure. What we got up on, they were fake horses basically, oil barrels with saddles on top of them, and then the animators did all their magic.
That's cool. Next question, Sin.
Is Red Dead Redemption 2 your favorite game?
Funnily enough, yes.
Are you surprised at that? No? I didn't imagine so.
5 years I worked on that. Yeah, it's always going to have a special place in my heart. Yeah.
I like that. So let's go to this side.
Hey, so I'm an actor myself. I've always struggled to come up with my own character. What's your process for making a character or coming into your own with a piece?
Oh, gee. Well, like I said earlier, I never try to go about it the same way twice. I always enjoy the challenge of coming up with a new and innovative way to portray a character, but I guess the first thing I would think about is what's the medium in which I'm performing it, Because if it's film or theater or whatnot, I'd often start with the physicality of the character. How do they move and how they walk. But if I'm doing voice acting, that's not so important, So I might not concentrate on that as much, and I'd more concentrate on how they breathe and how they talk. And I look at the script, and I take whatever clues I can get from the script, and I just try and put in as much detail as I can. you know, because the devil's in the details. And I think the more thought that you put into something, the more authentic it can become. But that's an excellent question. Yeah, sometimes I remember a guy called Alec Guinness. You might know him. He was the original Obi-Wan Kenobi. He would go to the zoo and he would pick an animal. Like, oh, what kind of character is this animal? You know, or what animal is this character? And he would incorporate the way that they move into his body language when he was performing it. And I always tried to take something like that. Arthur, I guess, is a bit of a bear, a bit of a loyal dog, you know?
I like that. How far ahead of time were you able to see the script for Red Dead 2 before you would actually do your capture?
So typically we would shoot the mocap for 3 weeks. And those would be like 12, 14-hour days.
Oh.
And then we would take 2 weeks off. And in those 2 weeks off, then we might do some work in the booth, maybe a couple times.
Okay.
But we would typically get our pages a week in advance.
Okay.
So we didn't, I think there was like a kind of a basic skeletal outline of where they wanted the story to go when we started. But they didn't paint themselves into a corner, so they left a lot of things open.
Okay.
Just to see how the performances would bring certain things across. So we would, to answer your question, about a week in advance.
But not necessarily in order.
No,
Okay.
not at all, no.
Okay. Can you remember the first time you were shocked by something that you saw that seemed out of order, and you're like, wait a minute, how'd we get here?
Yeah, sure. I don't remember the first time that happened, but if I didn't understand what was going on, I knew that we had skipped a bit. And so in those instances, I would go to the animators. They were, and the animators on a mocap studio for a video game, they were just as important in many ways as the director. Because they knew what it was going to look like, or they knew what they hoped it was going to end up looking like. And then they would show me.
Yeah.
Because all I was working with was pipes and scaffolding, and we're all dressed up in lycra with balls on, you know? And then it was them who really informed me of whatever the specific environment for that scene actually was. And that helped me so much. So the animators would always fill me in. Oh, yeah, of course. Well, we haven't filmed this bit yet, but when you do that, you see, you've met before, and then they would explain it to me, and then boom, that's all I needed to know.
And does that, the idea of doing performance capture versus being in a booth, right? Being able to actually like act against someone else or along with someone else.
Oh, so you know, being able to bounce off each other, it just makes, it does give it a more authentic feel.
A little more like theater.
You know, you're there with your co-star or wherever your scene partner is. You're there, you've learned your lines, and you work it out until the director's happy. So in that way, it's really not that dissimilar to film.
I think that's awesome. Let's take another question. Sin, make a choice. That's what you're here for.
What's your favorite line you recorded?
I'm sorry?
What is your favorite line you recorded?
Oh. Well, I always liked, you smell like your shit took a shit. That always made me chuckle. But there's one line that Arthur says that I think really sums up like the theme of Red Dead 2, you know? He's talking to John. And he's saying something along, there's two versions of it. He says like, I was prize pony once, but now I'm the workhorse. But this life, this way, well, we're the last, I reckon. And we ain't long for it. So that, I think that sums up a major theme of Red Dead, because the time of the outlaws is coming to an end.
Yeah.
And half the gang can see that, and the other half refuses to.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the conflict in the gang comes from.
Yeah.
Dutch, he won't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Until at the very, very end. When he does, our time has passed, John. It's a different game. You might not have heard of it.
Yeah, I see a lot of young faces out here. You have kids, right?
Yeah. Who here's played Red Dead 1? I mean, not Revolver, Red Dead Redemption 1. All right, well, fair, okay. That's close, yeah.
A lot of hands. Have your kids played?
I let them watch me hunt,
Okay. Okay.
But they're 9 and 11. Not yet. Not yet.
We're not quite there yet.
Maybe 12, 13. I'll let them. But they may not want to by then. They'll be like, "What? This old game, Dad?"
What is it like for you? So they haven't had a chance to see your performance.
They've seen bits. But yeah, as soon as it's, I mean, you could take someone's head off with a shotgun. So
Yeah.
I'll go to wait a while before.
I think that's fair. That's fair, right? Just wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Are you excited for what you think it might be like for them to see that?
I don't know.
Not sure about that yet.
Yeah, well, they're underwhelmed. You know, they take it for granted. You know.
Sure.
Yeah, Dad's Arthur Morgan. Yeah, what else is new?
That's not a big deal to them.
It's not a big deal, no.
Because your dad.
Yeah. So maybe. My wife still hasn't played it yet either, and she says she wants to. But I tell her, you know, babe, mine took me 60 hours to complete it the first time, and she's like, oh, okay.
I might not. She's not. Maybe not what she wants to spend her time doing.
Maybe when we retire.
She can watch a recap.
Yeah.
That'd be, you know,
It's one
she
of the
doesn't have
few
to play it.
games she doesn't mind watching.
Yeah.
I think I told some of you this, because it's got horses in it and it's beautiful scenery.
100%. A lot of really beautiful, so much detail
So much.
in this game.
People are still finding new things.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Sin, you got another question?
Mine is a bit of a morbid question, but Jesus. How did it feel? And spoilers, but
Yeah,
it's been
totally
6 years.
spoilers, guys. Spoilers.
So,
How did it feel to act out Arthur's last breaths? And did you feel any kinds of sadness or other emotions after spending so long creating this character?
I was nervous. And apprehensive because the mission where Arthur collects the debt from Downs was very early on. And I saw the script and I went, oh, and it was very specific, stage direction. It said, Downs coughs in Arthur's face. And I went, oh, what? That's very specific. And he's like, oh, yeah, this is where you get TV. I like, this is it? Oh, okay. So I'm Googling when they found a cure for TB. It wasn't in 1899. So I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I guess that's, so for 4 years, I knew that Arthur was going to have an untimely end, same as John Marston. The difference being, with Arthur, it's a slow burn and you see it coming, and with John, you just straight out of nowhere, which I think is genius the way Rockstar handled that. But to go back, for 4.5 years, I knew that these death scenes were coming up, but I didn't know exactly how, because we didn't get the sides until a few weeks in advance. So I just wanted to do it justice, because I knew how much everybody loved Red Dead Redemption. And I knew everybody loved John Marston too. So I took it very seriously. I wanted to deliver something as good as the predecessor. And I wanted to give his death the due diligence and respect that
you
it
did that,
deserved.
sir. You absolutely did that. Did he not? He did that, right? Yeah, 100%.
But I wasn't sad, I was nervous.
That's understandable. Did you ever think for a minute they wouldn't show him die? Like you would just know it was coming, but they wouldn't actually do it in game?
I mean, it wouldn't be effective if I didn't do
Not
it.
the same, right?
Yeah. I mean, they could have just had it done ragdoll physics in-game, but
He just drops it. Right?
you spend, we've spent years with Arthur Morgan. He deserves a death scene.
I agree.
So they gave him 4.
That's right. That's right. Sin?
So obviously playing someone who has a disease like tuberculosis, I imagine there are a lot of difficulties with voicing something like that and having to slowly change how you act that out. How difficult was that, and what were some challenges that you faced in doing that?
So most of the TB stuff wasn't voicing. Most of the voice work was when Arthur's on horseback. You know, and if he's talking to his buddy, you know, a lot of that, if you're that in-game mission dialogue when you're going from one location to another, that was usually done in the booth. A lot of the lines that you say to NPCs, a lot of that was done in the booth, but not all. But the TV stuff was pretty much performance captured, and that was a little tricky because there wasn't a lot of audio hearing someone suffering from tuberculosis. Because by the time they had that technology, it had greatly diminished. They found a cure, and it wasn't really as popular as it was. But I was able to find some. In India in the 1940s, there was a little epidemic, and I was able to get some audio, so I used that. And yeah, some personal experiences too with respiratory illnesses. So I just used as many tools as I could get to try and bring it the authenticity that I could.
I appreciate that, Sin. Let's make sure we get a couple more because we're starting to run short on time.
Did Peter Blomquist's performance ever get on your nerves during acting?
Not the performance, no. No, I'm joking. No, not at all. Everyone was such a joy to work with. And I think Peter did a fantastic job. Because everybody hates him, you know?
Yeah.
But like with any good villain, you know, everyone's the hero of their own story.
Yeah.
So the way he portrayed Micah, I thought was excellent. And fun fact, for those of you who may not know, he's also one of the bad guys in L.A. Noire. He's Dr. LaFontaine. Same guy. Yeah, but no, nothing about Peter's performance ever irked me. He was amazing.
Cool. Sin, we're coming right up here.
So, Roger, question. When you're not playing video games, do you have any other hobbies that you enjoy doing?
Now, that's an awesome question. I try to get out. I go hiking a lot, you know. I was doing a lot of hiking during COVID because that was one of the few ways to get outdoors and not have to wear a mask, you know. I love hiking. I enjoy reading. And I like going to see theater and watching films and stuff. But mostly I like the outdoors. Yeah. Thank you. That's an awesome question.
Very good question, Sin.
Other than the Red Dead Redemption series, is there another standalone or a game series that you absolutely fell in love with?
Oh yeah, there's loads. Thank you, Abigail. That's your name, right, Abigail? It's Abigail!
Yay, Abigail!
I found there was a guy here earlier. His name was Kenny. I almost lost my mind. But anyway, yes. I played. When I graduated college, I stopped being a gamer because I just didn't have the time. But I revisited it in my 30s. And then when I started working on Red Dead 2, I started playing a lot of games because it's research, you know? That's what I kept telling my wife.
It's the best kind of research.
Yeah, and I'm in love with The Last of Us. I like Uncharted. Ghost of Tsushima, that was one of my COVID games. Really loved Hideo Kojima. I love his stuff. It's so weird. His mind is so weird.
Super weird.
But it's in the best possible way. I just finished Spider-Man 2. I love that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I'm starting to get into some indie games too, like What Remains of Edith Finch. That was awesome. Firewatch was really good. I'm story-driven. I like story-driven stuff because I'm getting worse at the gameplay. I really starting to suck. So I always like story-driven, immersive games, you know, and nothing too stressful either. If it's too hard, you know, I'm getting old. I just like I want to chill now when I play games. I don't want some 12-year-old screaming at me.
Which absolutely will happen.
Oh my gosh!
In the wrong lobby.
Does it ever? Holy cow!
Yeah.
And they're right too, because I do suck.
Yeah, but they don't have to be so mean. I mean, like they're mean. Like yeah, they don't have to be that mean. Look, let's take 2 more questions because we got to wrap up.
My question was, like, how do you feel knowing that you put life into a character that impacted, like, lives everywhere on such a big scale to where, I mean, you still have people coming out years later to meet you?
Darlene, right?
Yeah.
It's an absolute privilege, Darlene, and an actor could not ask for more. To have had such an audience appreciate my work is something that I never ever anticipated. I never anticipated generations of families coming to me, and kids saying, me and my grandfather, we never got on until, he saw me playing Red Dead once, and he's like, what's that? Because it piqued his interest, and they bonded over Westerns, and now he's passed away. I've had that story so many times told to me, and I can't believe that I have been able to affect so many people's lives. I thank you for appreciating the work of all of our work. We did it for you, and the fact that you enjoy it so much still blows my mind. I have bruises up and down my arms from pinching myself. I started out in theater, like I said, so I'm not used to audiences as large as Red Dead 2. And I can't believe it. I really genuinely can't believe it. Thank you for enjoying it. I can't, some people tell me, like, people suffering from mental illness, people suffering from depression, and they say that a video game helped that drag out of themselves out of bed. It leaves me a little speechless, to be honest. It's a true honor.
That's awesome. One more. Sin?
Hello. So do you think Micah wanted to kill Arthur, or do you think he didn't want to kill Arthur but had to kill Arthur because Arthur found out Micah's true colors?
Evan, right? Yeah. That's a good question. That's one, Peter Blomquist would be better suited to answer it. But I think, yeah, he totally wanted to kill Arthur. He totally, this is so much fun. Yeah, I get to kill Arthur. But he doesn't kill him if you have high honor and you help John.
Yep.
Spoilers. No, I totally think, Micah is... I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but Micah is one of those characters that is completely absent of any empathy whatsoever. It's kill or be killed. I'm a survivor. So, yeah, Micah enjoys killing people. I think he totally wanted to kill Arthur, yeah.
Very scary. Okay, so listen, we have to wrap up, and I know you're sad.
Guys, if you didn't get to ask your question, I'm heading over to my table right now.
We're going back over to the table. Can we all stand up and get one big group picture? Can we do that? Would that be cool? Yeah, let's do it. All right, so look. Red Dead 2 on 3. Cool?
Ready? And we'll do a big Lenny, yeah?
Lenny on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah!
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Roger Clark, thank you so much. What it do, snackers and snackettes? Did you like what you just saw? Would you like to help us grow? Here's what you can do. Shoot over to patreon.com/loadingsnacks, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite platform of choice. Appreciate you.